Okay, here goes nothing. Raise your hand if you've ever felt distant from God. Raise your hand if you struggle with procrastination and consistency. Raise your hand if you always feel like reading the Bible. Raise your hand if you have to put in conscious effort every day to do the things of God. Hey virtual besties, hope you are good. Today I actually love the topic because honestly it's something I struggled with. There was a point in my life I really felt unmotivated and I did not feel like doing anything. Let me take you back to this story. So there was a time I was writing my professional exams in medical school, and before we wrote those exams, I remember really preparing like my life depended on it. I read like I was never going to pray, and I prayed like I was never going to read. So I was on fire. I was reading, I was revising my books, I was doing everything that I thought was right, for me to pass that exam and pass well. I remember reading. I read and at the point I was feeling like, oh, this course, I'm going to kill it and all of that. But guess what? The day of the exam came, I wrote that exam and I flopped. I failed it well. I did not understand where I went wrong. I did not understand what exactly I did wrong because I prepared so well for it. Immediately I saw the results, I just felt the detachment already. Like, I did not want to do anything. I did not want to pray. I didn't want to read my Bible. I didn't want to go to church. I didn't want to speak to anybody. I just wanted to lie there, sleep, wake up, watch movies, do, the things that depressed people do. That's what I wanted to do because I was so disappointed. I don't know if I was disappointed in myself or in God at the time, but I know I was not myself, and it took a huge toll on me. Basically, there was nothing I did not say to God back then. I said, Lord, I served you. Lord, I trusted you. Lord, you promised me. There is nothing I did not remind God of, but there was nothing that happened. The result was out and it was obvious that nothing was going to change. I failed, and I had to just accept it. But at the time, it was hard. So the point I'm trying to make today is that I went through all of that and it took a long period for me to come out of that rut. But you can see me today, I'm not the way I was back then anymore. And obviously, I came from that point to this point, and there are things that I did that I want to share with you. There are many things that can make somebody unmotivated to do the things of God. Maybe like me, you failed something that you actually really trusted God for, and it didn't come true. It could also be that you failed yourself over and over again. Maybe you've told yourself that you're not going to do this particular thing and you keep doing it. You keep going back to that thing that you've told yourself that you're not going to do. Maybe an addiction, maybe a sin that you keep failing over and over again. It could also be a situation that you've been in for years and you've been trusting God to bring you out of that situation, but you still find yourself in that situation. Those kind of things can make you feel unmotivated to do things of God. Like, you want to do them, but you can't just bring yourself to do them. Most times, the reason we feel unmotivated is because we have found other things that seem interesting enough to help us forget what we are going through. So prayer does not seem interesting enough to cause that distraction that you need. For me, I needed to forget the fact that I just failed. So I used movies, I used things that I felt, okay, this was distracting enough, this was engaging enough, to help me forget this thing. And subconsciously, I kept indulging in those things. It could be that you failed yourself over and over again. So you just want something so engaging. So you see yourself scrolling through social media pages all day, because you don't want to remember your present situation. You don't want to remember how much of a failure you think you are. So the point is that we want to forget, but we don't want to heal. The first thing that I did was to remove the distractions and face the failure. Honestly speaking, it's just like somebody bringing your best food to you when you're extremely full. You're already full, so you can't eat any other thing. But you realize that if you're very hungry and they bring something that you don't really like and you try it when you're hungry, you realize that, this thing is tasting nice today. Do you understand? Because you're not full yet. But now, because you are full of these distractions, right? You don't have space to accommodate more. But when you remove the distractions, you realize that prayer is not as boring as you think it is. It's not as, dull as you think it is. But because you are too full, there is no space to accommodate these things. I have to say, okay, you know what, Esther, do you want to remain like this? Like you have already failed, and then staying here, you're failing more. I have to talk to myself, like, Esther, get up, girl, get up. What are you doing? My dear, you cannot always be strong. Admit to yourself that you're not in a good place right now. Admit to God that you need his help. Even Elijah in the Bible, after killing about 450 prophets of Baal and bringing down fire from heaven, after all those miracles he did, and Jezebel now threatened him that she was going to kill him, he ran. God now asked him, where are you going? And he was discouraged, and he was just lamenting to God that he cannot do this anymore. He's the only one left. So what I'm trying to say is, as strong as Elijah was, he still felt discouraged. The first secret to overcoming a challenge is admitting that you need help. When you know you need help, you can seek out the help you need. But if you don't even know you need help, or you know you need help and you don't admit that you need help, people cannot help you. Do you understand? So I had to admit that I'm struggling, I need help. The second thing I did was to reconnect through worship. I put on a worship song, and I did not pray. I was not planning to pray. I was just planning to worship and just listen to the worship song and just praise God, because I already had that knowledge that, songs are channels. And when you don't have strength, they can transmit energy, they carry spirits. So when you are down and you listen, for me it was always Simisola. So I listened to Simisola's song, because Simisola is not weak at the point she sang that song, or she was not weak at the point she sang that song. That song is charged. It carries the presence of God. It carries the spirit of God. So whenever I listen to that song, the spirit that song carries is transferred to me. That's why David could use music to remove the evil spirit that Saul had. And whenever David sang to Saul, the evil spirit will leave him. Why? Because of the spirit of God that David carried. Whenever he played that instrument, it's not just about the instrument, right? It's about the person singing. It's about the person playing the instrument. So when the person plays, the spirit behind the song is transferred to the listener. And I knew that, and I had to tap into it, because at that point I was weak. For everybody, it's different. For me, the person that I know that whenever I'm not okay like that, if I just play our songs, it will work for me, Simisola. So I had to just search out Simisola's songs, and honestly, just saying her voice alone was enough for me. That the presence and the spirit of God became so tangible. I was playing it first still numb, because obviously I've not done anything apart from admitting that I need help. So I was still playing the song, and I was just calm. I already knew that the presence of God was going to come, because I had that knowledge of the transfer of spirits and everything. So I just stayed calm, listening to Simisola singing. And I think the song she was singing that is, if I ever needed you, I need you now. That song. And I was just listening to the song, and I was in my heart, and I was telling God, Lord, if I ever needed you, I need you now. I need you now. I kept on repeating it in my heart. My dear, truth be told, I did not know when I lost it, and I was just, speaking in tongues. And I know I listened to that song for like 30 minutes, and on repeat, I was listening to it. And at a point, I broke down. And I was just telling God, still pouring out my heart to God, asking for mercy, asking for help. And I did that thing, and it rekindled a fresh fire in me. I broke down in tears, and I was just crying and talking about my weaknesses and talking about my struggles to God. And I felt as if God was just hugging me and saying, don't worry, I'm with you. Don't worry, I've always been with you. I never left you. I felt like a child being comforted by a father. And it was such a beautiful feeling. I opened my Bible and I started to study. I got out my journal. I started to write down things. I was just writing, trying to study again, because it had been long. I picked up that journal and the Bible to try and study. After that day, after I finished talking to God, I felt a little lighter. Like, okay, I feel a little better. It's not there yet, but I feel a little better. The next day when I went again, I did not just go and kneel down and start speaking in tongues. No. I still played Simisola. I still played, I think for a week or so, I was cooking myself with her songs. Whenever I want to pray, I'll play the songs first, I'll read the Bible, and oh, the effect was always the same. And when I had charged, because I was drawing strength from her own strength that she had stored in those songs, I was drawing strength. So when me had drawn enough strength and I was charged, I didn't need the songs anymore. I started to read more of the Bible. I started to want to go to church. I started to want to associate. And honestly, when I was open to receiving help, oh, my church community, they were there for me. My family, my friends, they were open-handed, waiting for me to come. Because before then I had pushed away everybody. I just wanted to be on my own. I was not really talking to anybody. And when I reached out for help was sufficient. So that's another thing. Have a community of people that can be there for you spiritually, especially in church. In my other videos, I think I've hit this a lot. Have a community, build a community of like-minded people, so that when you're down, you have people that you can draw strength from. When you're going through this type of thing, don't feel like, okay, because you've been away for a long time, God does not love you anymore. God is yes. Let me tell you something. Anytime you feel far away from God, it's not that God left you. It's that you left God where you guys last met. You were the one that walked away. So if two of you were standing here before and you started to stop feeling his presence, it only means that God is still standing here, but you've gone ahead of him. So the only thing to do is turn. When you turn, you will meet him exactly where you left him. He's waiting to receive you with open arms. When the Bible talks about the prodigal son, remember that there was a son in the house. But when the father saw the prodigal son coming, he ran, he left everything in the house, and he went to hug and embrace the son. Remember that the Bible says that he left the 99 to look for one that was lost. So if you're feeling unmotivated, don't feel like God has left you. No, he wants you more than ever before. He said in his word that he will never leave us nor forsake us. And he means every single word. Don't feel like you're alone. Whatever you want me to share, make a video about, you can drop it in the comment section, and definitely I would make a video about it as God helps me. Check out my other videos. I talk about prayer, I talk about consistency with God and everything. If this is the kind of content you want to be seeing, if you enjoyed this video, like, share and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching. God bless you. Until we see again, virtual besties. Bye.